welcome back to Weekly Daily Wednesdays, that midweek where we just stop, don't talk so much about the gaming news, but we catch up on what's going on in the rest of the Linux world. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week.
Hello, I am Pedro Mateos.
And, we just can't keep him away. He comes back.
Yeah, keep coming back. Hello, I'm Matthew.
Beat him off with a stick.
All right. So why don't we just get into it like we normally do?
Let's do it. So Microsoft, Windows 7 drops under 50% market share, and Windows XP, that thing that was already deprecated for all intents and purposes, drops below 10%. Yep, this was the biggest news, sort of, that kind of happened this week. Everyone in the tech blogosphere, they were all talking about it. And it's you can see the VentureBeat article that we have here. Don't you worry, you'll get the show notes. There'll be links for all this stuff. It actually shows that Windows is now at 89.23% market share according to net applications. And Mac is sitting at 9.20 and Linux is at 1.56. They also have the breakdown of how many installs or the percentages of the different Windows versions, and Windows 7 is still the reigning champion, currently sitting at 48.79%. Remains to be seen how long that will go on, assuming Microsoft keeps pushing Windows 10 updates as aggressively as they have up until now.
I don't know, man. All I'm hearing is year of the Linux desktop. That's all I'm hearing. That's clearly it, man. I mean, because, if you don't, you go directly off Windows and you go straight to Linux and gaming, that's at least what a lot of people on Reddit claim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still a lot of people running Windows 7. I still don't get why people are so attached to this particular version of Windows. I mean, it is getting kind of old now, but I've run in very little, but it wasn't better or any worse than any other Windows I tried.
It was considerably better than the one that came before, which was Vista.
Yeah,
that
Vista,
was a completely busted piece of software in this case. But it came right after Vista, and everyone was so angry at Microsoft, and wow, they actually managed to release a halfway decent operating system. It still spies on you like nobody's business, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find Windows 10 being any worse than Windows 7. And it's the same thing to me.
No, I mean, ultimately, when you look at it, I mean, you had 7, and I mean, when they released 7, everyone patted him on the head, and they're like, fine, this isn't a horrible disease thing. Yeah. And Microsoft said, just you wait, Brad. Then they pulled out Windows 8. Like, haha, had you fooled, because there's always what do they say? There's one good release, bad release, good release. And I think the stank that was all over Windows 8 still hasn't wafted away from 10, because everyone says 10, which they're full of lies and deceitful hatred, because I have it on that tablet thing. It just angers and confuses me. I cut it on and I ended up cutting it back off, and I was like, Yeah. And then when I tried to cut it off, it reboots 6 times to update, which is also lovely.
Nice.
But
the biggest thing about this one is it remains to be seen exactly how Microsoft will react to these news. If they go all Captain Defensive and claim that the numbers don't mean anything, then at that point we'll know that they're actually shedding users. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you can just chalk this one up as backlash over the whole Windows 10 thing. We'll see.
Okay, wow. Talk about this.
Raspberry Pi gets an 8-megapixel camera upgrade for the same bloody price. Nice language there, Inquirer. Yeah, it's the new camera was co-developed by Sony. It's got a pretty neat sensor. It like I already said, it comes with 8 megapixels. It can record with both the visible and IR spectrums, and like I mentioned, it was co-developed by Sony, so you can forget about getting any type of open source firmware on that particular bit of hardware.
Yeah. The nice thing is, since it's Sony, they have a pretty good experience doing all night vision stuff. Even in the 90s, they were pretty good with that.
Well, when you said that reminded me, because they get really good at night vision stuff, accidentally one time with one of their camcorders where you could do a little trickery and basically see through clothing. Sorry to interject.
Yeah, and they have a lot of improvements other than the 8 megapixels stuff, because image quality is not all about megapixels. But
that's about the sensor.
thing is, I would have liked to see some actual images from the cameras, which I couldn't find anywhere in the article. So if you were going
they only mentioned the price. They're selling it for the exact same price that they were selling the previous version, which is at around $25 US. If you're living in Portugal, you're looking at 35-ish.
Well, I mean, ultimately, though, you're paying $35 or so. That's why I'm not I need to see the image quality, because pay $25 for a camera, man. All right, if it works, you're golden. Then I'm that guy, that horrible person from 3 or 4 weeks ago who was making the speed traps. I bet he is giddy.
He's vibrating in his chair right now.
All right, well, let's talk about the Ubuntus.
Ubuntu, they are now announcing that's the maximum size for the image to install Ubuntu will be 2 gigabytes. So this does not mean that it will be 2 gigabytes, but the maximum size it could reach will be this size. So it was kind of expected, because the current image is already 1.4 gigabytes. So
and we're past the age of CDs. That was the whole point of keeping it under 700 megs.
CDs anymore. And the smallest USB stick you can find is 2 gigabytes. So, good for them.
I don't know. And ultimately, the first thing I'm looking forward to your strongly worded letters from people who are still using CDs aimed at Strider, not me. Kind of made a good point. Can you... Now, don't say, can you find a thumb drive that is, less than 2 gigs? I can do that. I have a 128 megabyte one. It's kind of a relic now. That's why I still have it. But if I finish this sentence, you won't be able to argue with me. Good luck trying to buy one that's under 2 gigabytes.
Yeah, you cannot buy one nowadays. If you have an old one, sure, but although the one I think you can buy some 4 gigabytes, but two gigs are really hard to find now.
Yeah.
Usually you can get them for free.
Yeah, so ISO images aside, that's not really an issue nowadays. But you know what is an issue? People giving their hard-earned wet sticky caches to some open source projects, and the fine folks at DuckDuckGo have actually started doing that. Strider, you put this in the notes, so why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I didn't put it in the notes, but I found it interesting that all the projects they donate to are really security focused, and they're dealing with cryptography. So you got Tor in this, you got a whole bunch of projects with PGP, you got Freenets, a whole bunch of stuff for the security. So that's not only open source projects, but really a project that fight for the right for privacy and everything. So that's really what DuckDuckGo is all about. So that's really cool of them.
Okay, Pedro, help me out. What the heck is a DuckDuckGo?
DuckDuckGo is that search engine that's setting out to compete with Google, not in the results department, but in the not spying on you department, because they don't keep track of anything you do. There's no tracking cookies. If you run Privacy Badger when you go to DuckDuckGo, you can run as many searches as you want, and it'll stay at 0. So good on them, and they're actually making some money somehow. And donating it to the open source and the security companies out there that are actually trying to, keep encryption and trying to give their users some of the privacy that they lost over the years with, Google and Bing.
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 You dare say the word Bing on this show?
Look, we already talked about Windows. Don't give me that.
All right. Well, we actually, up next, have some breaking news because apparently Intel had a smartphone business, unbeknownst to...
Keyword there is had. Past tense.
Okay. No, but basically Intel's like, all right, so no one's buying our x86 portable chips. See ya. Right? Did I sum that one up correctly?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, this is Intel had they had those really low powered atoms, the Z series, which you could find in some phones, namely the Asus Zenfone and the Zenfone 2 and some of their tablets. There were a few others, but those were like the major ones. Mm-hmm. And in all fairness, I did really like the Asus Zenfone 2. Unfortunately, those $200 price tag didn't translate so well when it came to Space Portugal, because if I wanted to get one here, I would have to pay 300 euros. Yeah, I'm not paying that much for a phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the article says the battery life was noticeably poor. Well, no wonder, since it's still a x86 after all. So yeah, Intel should just focus on their desktop CPUs, which are really good, and let ARM deal with all the low power and energy efficient devices.
Well, I mean, you definitely have a point there, but here's the thing. I mean, Intel does want to branch out and do other stuff because, you know, there's nothing to compete with on the desktop anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry. Send your hate mail to Vin at linuxgamecast.com. Hopefully Zen will make that better, but I mean, to just expand the company, and I have a quad-core Bay Trail x86 tablet that you can visibly watch the battery drain on the meter when you're running it. Yeah, right. That, and exactly. It gets hot, not like warm. You're like, ooh, not something you even want to hold. And yeah, the battery is just kind of a miserable thing all around. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll go to the mobile application. What I really want to see is, you know, even if I have it tethered to the mains at the house constantly, is a nice, you know, reasonably powered quad-core x86 tablet that's not locked where I have to hack it to run Windows.
That's the big thing, because even though it's still technically using UEFI, it's using a stupidly locked down version of it, and you can't really just load Linux on it, which... If, let's face it, you're watching this show and you're considering buying an x86 tablet or a phone, chances are you're going to want to run some flavor of Linux on it, I'm guessing.
Which is weird, because you cannot run Linux on the Microsoft Surface.
Yeah, but the Surface was like the prototype, as it were. And you still have to unlock the UEFI to be able to do that.
Yeah, you have to unlock it, yeah. But
no, I mean, the ultimate use for the Surface is a skateboard. They've shown that it was usable as a skateboard.
Yes.
All right, well, let's take control.
Yep. Last week on Linux Gamecast Weekly, Rohit and Chatrealm brought up a very interesting project. It's the SC controller. You can find it on GitHub, made by Kozak, and it's basically Xbox DRV, but specifically for the Steam controller. It has a little really nice GUI that lets you set up the areolas and the buttons and everything else the same way that Steam does, without ever having to launch Steam. Now, this will work, say, if you want to create a custom mapping for a game that is not on Steam, you can. So for everyone out there who does have a Steam controller, but for some reason doesn't want to use Steam because of DRM, congratulations, you're a unicorn. But yeah, you can actually play those Linux GOG games. Although, speaking of GOG, there's one thing I have been wondering. How will this work with wine games?
Carefully.
I mean, for wine games, you have to do lots of tricks to make joypad support happen. So you have to either use X360 CE and use wine hack to get X inputs working. So
the old dinput 8.dll. Yes.
Yeah, this one. So yeah, but the project is in Python. So I guess I'll use this project as a base to get the joypad config happen in Lutris. That could be useful.
Yeah.
You thief. All right.
So, Flibbity-Jibai-Bo. Wow. I actually managed to get through that without choking. Ethan Lee.
You got a little blood coming off your left ear.
Ethan Lee on Google Plus has released the new version of XNA 1605. Yeah, it's got a bunch of performance improvements, namely CPU improvements. He actually did a lot of work on the back end to get the CPU performance up from the past few versions, and according to him and the test that he ran, which he was the one who made this thing, so he's biased. But yeah, according to him, it's got considerably better performance than 1604 did, and that's good. But if you were expecting some Vulkan, well, then you have to wait for 1606.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a pretty amazing engine, and I wish all the Linux engine were as optimized as this one. Ethan is really doing awesome work there. And I have never had any issues to begin with FNA games. But I've heard people report that they had performance issues on Terraria. If there are performance improvements, that's good. I mean, more performance, always good to have.
All right.
And it was that one engine that always had proper controller support, because guess what? He's using SDL from the get-go.
That was always just like, oh, controllers work. Oh, I guess Ethan ported this. And you look and I was like, yep, he imported that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, Pedro, go ahead and brag about all this running Steam on Ubuntu made.
You see, I would brag, but then again, there's a little line in this article that says, what we need here is a gamer. A gaming enthusiast who knows how to run a benchmark. A Linux gamer. Enter Pedro Mateus from Linux Gamecast.
Then the sentence went completely to poo right at that point.
Yeah, right then and there. That was the point. But yeah, a while back, Martin Wimpress asked me to run some benchmarks because Phoronix had posted an article that compared the different flavors of Ubuntu and how they performed with some games. If you have ever looked at a Phoronix benchmark, you'll know that he uses Unity in Heaven, Zonotic, and 3D Mark. No, it's not 3D Mark. He uses something else. But so I decided. What?
It's Open Arena usually.
Open Arena, yeah. He also uses Open Arena, yeah. But he asked me because he wasn't really happy with the results because Ubuntu Mate scored really low on the benchmark, and he wasn't exactly happy with that. So he asked me, "Could you run some benchmarks and let me know how it is?" And I ran them. I ran them on the Steam box. I just pulled the SSD from the netbook, which was running Ubuntu Mate 1604, loaded that on the Steam box, installed the NVIDIA drivers. Away we go. So, you'll be able to find the specs on there. And I used Unity in Heaven and the Talos Principle. I used the Talos Principle for one very specific reason. Vulkan. It gives you both the OpenGL and Vulkan renderers, so you can actually get a nice view of the performance using all four options that Ubuntu Mate gives you when it comes to compositing. You can either have no compositing at all, you can have the software compositor from Marco, or you can have a GLX-based compositor, Compton, or you can have Compiz. So all those four options, I ran Unity in Heaven 3 times for each of those ones, and I sent them the averages, along with a little note on how bad the tearing was. And now he's posted it. And the conclusions that he has come to is basically that, Compton is the best compositor you can have, because there's a teeny tiny difference between Compton and Compiz. So if you want to run compositing at all, those are the two that you should be looking at. And one of the things I told him is that comparatively to SteamOS proper, that I usually run on the Steam box, it was about 2 frames per second lower than all of the results I had collected thus far. So that's pretty good if you're using Compton or Compiz.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've recently switched over to Compton, but a lot of times I just run without compositing on period because I don't need the whiz bang effects and those fancy things like shadows.
It's not so much about the whiz bang. Nowadays, it's more about it's mostly about tearing. It's some people, myself, are actually pretty sensitive when it comes to horizontal tearing. And Compton and Compass, I'm assuming I haven't used Compass in years now.
You should be using Barrel, man. Come on.
Unity. No, wait. Unity is completely based off of Compass.
Yeah, it's Compass. Yeah, but it gives pretty good results, and I guess it's better than without a compositor. So I've run Compass for gaming, like for the past, 8 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no issue. There were some issues like way back in the days where like Compass was still experimental, but now you don't really get a difference between like a Compass or anything else, and you might get better frame rates using Compass.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think in 2016, I mean, it's marginal at best. I mean, it's not like it was in the long ago, where you had to make sure you disabled compositing because that was a nasty hit on your frame rates. But yeah. Strider, I hear somebody doesn't want the D.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, they call themselves veteran sysadmins.
Okay.
And they have a problem with systemd. And what they did is they took Debian and they forked it and they replaced systemd with inits, sys5 inits. So the way it was like 4 years ago, before systemd. And yeah, and they have finally shipped a beta of DevOne. That's the name of their distro.
So is there any advantages or disadvantages, or is it just like, no, I don't like that?
Yeah, that's basically a rejection of systemd and doesn't bring anything. It's just the stock Debian without systemd, and that is all that it provides. So
yeah. And there's one of the things that, I mean, I will agree, just to address the whole DevOne thing. I agree that systemd has basically turned into svchost.exe in Windows, and everything which that entails is just wrong. But it's still better, whether you agree or not. It is factually better than sysvinit. But until there's a really nasty vulnerability stemming from systemd, I will keep using it. It's so damn convenient. I mean, once you learn it, it's stupidly convenient, to the point where even Canonicals started shipping systemd with 1604.
And now you have a bunch of stuff that's related to systemd, like in GNOME. So they had a problem with GNOME as well, so they ship XFCE by default. And I'm not sure they shipped GNOME, actually. But I remember reading
GNOME is heavily reliant on systemd nowadays, courtesy of Fedora. Hi.
Yeah. Yeah, because Fedora is really pushing systemd to the maximum, and GNOME is also based on all things Fedora, so you got those dependencies tied all together. But yeah, I'm surprised that they actually shipped something, because back 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was just a bunch of old sysadmin guys posting on the mailing list, and some pretty funny stuff too. So
yeah, they actually offer some alternatives. If you click on the Freedom Init link that they have in this post, they actually show there's like sinit, OpenRC, Runit, S6, and Shepherd. Those are actually the ones they're looking at in order to replace the sysvinit that they're currently shipping with. And there is one that I can't seem to find the name of right now, which I read somewhere, that is still a work in progress, and that's actually the one, OpenRC. It's the one they're looking at. It's still very much a work in progress, but they're looking at shipping that by default.
So isn't that something that's shipped also on BSD systems?
It's Parabola and a couple of other ones. I think BSD. Let's see on the post here. No, they don't actually mention which one the BSDs are running, so I don't know.
All right. Well, that's enough talking about the D, because we need to make mention of the
Thunder Chicken. Yeah, it's the Thunder Chicken. Mozilla has basically put Thunderbird on the back burner, but it was still very much based on the Gecko engine that powers Firefox. And so whenever Mozilla tried to update Firefox, they would have to update Thunderbird as well in order to remain in order for it to keep compliant with the new Gecko engine. And they started feeling like it was kind of a dead weight. Now they're looking for someone to take over the project, and they've considered a few possible outlets. One such outlet was the Document Foundation. That's the fine folks behind LibreOffice. And this is a post by Charles H. Schulz from the Document Foundation, hypothesizing what would happen should the Thunder Chicken come under his wing. And he goes into detail, like what could they possibly bring on the Document Foundation when it comes to Thunder Chicken. And
Bing search.
Honestly, I don't. He doesn't go into all the specifics, but he has a big post that you should totally read and try to find whom else is considering taking on Thunderbird, because I actually looked into it. I couldn't find anyone else. These were the only, the Document Foundation was the only one that actually had something to say about it. And they're not a horrible idea.
No, that's a pretty good option for Thunderbird, but I still don't get why Mozilla hates Thunderbird so much. I mean, they've been wanting to get rid of it for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And hey, Thunderbird is awesome. I use it like all the time. I used to use webmail like Gmail or stuff like this for a couple of years. And then I took a step back and wondered what I was doing with my life. And yeah, I went back and used Thunderbird because it's so much more efficient with dealing with emails and everything. So yeah, I hope that the Thunderbird keeps going and doesn't die.
Well, I don't necessarily think the project is in like risk of ever dying, but
it's not going to die. There's a lot of people.
No, it's not going to die. I mean, there's still lots of people using it, and if it goes into the hands of the Document Foundation, that would be quite good, actually.
Well, long as Microsoft doesn't pick it up, like I said. That would just be, well, how they embraced Skype and snuffed it on. Oh,
yeah. Speaking of things that give you some nightmares, what happened to our Patreons?
Everyone ran away. No, they didn't. It's just the end of the month. We always have that culling at the end, but
yes,
we do have Patreon. You can help us out. Kick us a few quid if you like the show. Get back up to that level. Because we did kind of dip down. Now, here's the thing. What happened? Everyone, I don't know, we're not really even worried about the Patreon, but go check your cards because we didn't lose these Patreons. What's actually happened is they're counting anytime a pledge was denied on a card. It's no longer reflective, which I don't ever really go in and look, so I don't know who was and who wasn't. But check that for yourself, not because of our Patreon, because you might have bills not getting paid. So
yeah,
take a look for that. But we did close out the month at the goal for that, so we're guaranteed 4 more fully produced shows of that. And, I think it's pretty safe bet, Pedro, that we'll get back up there before the end of this
chances are, and you actually mentioned in the notes that one of your acquaintances mentioned that May, April was usually those months
I totally went, ha, you don't know what you do. Oh, wow, all right.
Yeah. I actually checked my debit card, and there it is. It will expire in April 2018. So check your cards because they're probably gone, and it kind of makes me, kind of sad because we're almost at 80 Patreons. That was kind of awesome. It's like 80. Yes. But
so, no. I mean, if you got a nickel, throw it our way. We'll add those nickels up and make something horrible with it.
Throw it
enough of that. Let's talk about Mr. Katana himself.
Yes, the dual-wielding katana master, Richard M. Stallman, has received the ACM Software System Award for the development and leadership of the GCC.
I gotta stop you just right. I just gotta get this out of my system because I had forgotten about how horrible a shooped job they did with Richard GNU Stallman right here.
They're probably used to using Photoshop, and they had to use GIMP for that one just for the sake of it. So
I had to find a completely open source camera. I got it right.
Richard Stallman got $25,000 or $35,000 prize with the award. That's a pretty good thing. I mean, rewarding the guy, basically the granddaddy or the great grand uncle of Linux, as it were. The GCC, everyone uses GCC. Chances are, if you type make whenever you see a make file, you're using GCC. So yeah, it's a good thing that he actually got this award. Good on him.
GCC is one of the most used software in the world. But what I wonder is if Richard Stallman cares at all about this award, because it seems that the only thing he cares about now is the GPL and all the license stuff. So something that's purely technical, maybe he doesn't really care about this. But yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's still a good thing because Stallman has some great ideas when he's not being a full metal moonbat. And
exactly.
He's genuinely a good guy. So definitely on that. But
yes,
to the cloud.
Okay, well, you got, so this new stuff is Open 365, and it's supposed to be a replacement, an open source replacement for Office 365 by Microsoft. And it's all cloud-based, and it's basically Open Office with C-File and KDE all together running in the cloud. So I would have liked to test it, give it a go, but they provide a deb file, and I couldn't install it on Ubuntu 16.04.
Man, that's horrible, Pedro. It's too bad you couldn't just open a deb file and...
Well, you could just open it and just extract it, but it's they provide the deb file, and according to Strider, you can't really install it even on a Ubuntu system because some of the dependencies are already outdated. I like the idea of having sort of an Office suite in the cloud, but there's already Google Docs.
Yeah, that's kind of my big thing. But then again, there are people who have not just signed it over and put the Google right in your veins like we have. I mean, complete Google sellouts. Google knows all my things. I like Google being creepy. I like checking my Google cards on the Nexus, and I'm like, wow, that's creepy. And I might be interested in that. But for a cloud solution, I guess this could be something else. I mean, maybe you don't like docs or you want something native. I mean, I'm guessing, what is this? Just it's its own tied-in thing, Strider? How does it even work, man? What is this moon magic?
Well, I don't exactly know what it's how it works since I couldn't try it, but it's from the people who made iOS. So not iOS from Apple, but iOS.
The Cloud OS thingy.
Yes, it was an HTML5 desktop running in the cloud. So this is like their second attempt at doing something similar. So this could be neat, and it's all open source, everything. So yeah, I could give it a try. It seems cool.
Maybe we will play with it. And if you're at home playing the home game, give it a try. If something you want, write us a note, leave us a comment on the YouTubes or on the Patreons, and let us know. Maybe we're missing something because someone could be sitting there right now vibrating, going, this is the perfect use case for X. Fill in the blank. But let's talk about something on a happier note, because Tor and VPN users will be the target of government hacks under a new spying rule. Everyone, yay!
So business as usual then.
An update to the Rule 41. Woo. This is the federal rule of criminal procedures. Could grant power to judge across U.S. Search warrants, blah, 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 blah. You're trying to be secure, so we're going to come down on you, Brad. Is that about it?
Yeah, pretty much. And this comes in the wake of that whole system. I don't know if you guys know about it. There's actually basically a decentralized peer-to-peer network that runs off of the Tor network that lets you, let's say there was that piracy thing, Popcorn Time, a while back. And basically what that does now is it allows you to host your own version of Popcorn Time with all the links to all the torrents and all the magnets and everything else. So it's basically just decentralized piracy. And that's running off of the Tor network. So they're actively going against those people.
Well, Strider, it's obvious that anyone using Tor or VPN are evil hacker pedophiles, right?
Yeah, but yeah, basically when you try
you heard it here first.
Be secure. I mean, these are all dangerous people that need to be like spied upon. Mm-hmm. And when you try to make yourself more secure, well, you're actually making yourself less secure because
you're a terrorist. Terrorist.
Yes, you're being considered as a terrorist, as a like very dangerous individual. So you get under the radar as soon as you begin using secure tools. So what's the point?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, just remember, it's for your own good, citizen.
So, hey, we have like pre-orders for the Pyra.
Pyra, what's that? Never heard about it.
Pyra is the handheld laptop game console running Linux, which have been in the works for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. And it's finally
is it
here.
In any way related to the Open Pandora?
It is the successor of the Open Pandora, yes.
Okay, all right.
So
and, yes,
I'm looking at this, man. You were explaining. They basically got the pre-orders, and my jaw just hit the floor if you're listening to the audio because we're starting at the low price of 330 wet, stinky euros. And Strider, didn't you say that's just the down payment?
Yes, I was wondering, wait, that's not the final price because the final price is like 600 euros or something.
Yeah, it is.
So I was wondering,
if you look at
maybe this was on sale. Maybe that was a sale for the pre-orders, but no, that's just a down payment. So you pay the 300.
You're looking at 745 euros if you want to slap VAT on that sucker, man.
Yep.
So
and one of the things they mention, it's the whole down payment thing. The final payment will not be necessary before the device is ready to be shipped. If you'd like to pay more upfront, please add a shop voucher to your order. You can then use the final payment as you can use for the final payment as it's needed. The down payment as well as the voucher share.
Wait, does the down payment also apply to the mug and the keychain and the t-shirt?
I'm guessing those are the final prices.
Okay.
But yeah, the pre-orders on the Pyra itself are down payments without VAT. So you're not even paying for VAT at that point. You're just giving them money for not delivering a product.
Well, like I said, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm going to speak for myself because I enjoy, stuff like this. It's quirky, small, very niche projects like the Pandora and this particular thing right here. It is, small run stuff. So it is going to be incredibly expensive and it's just going to be for the people who really want it. You're not buying it because of the value, but yeah, interesting. Do you have anything else to add on this, Strider?
I mean, it's an amazing product, but yeah, this price, no. Really too expensive.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell me about something I genuinely know nothing about.
Friends. So Friends is IM clients for a bunch of protocols. So you got Skype, WhatsApp, Hangouts. You got
Friends is a free messaging app / former emperor of Space Australia. That's exactly what it's.
Franz, you run Australia.
Yeah, it handles all these protocols. So basically, it's just a web browser, just limited to chat chat clients.
So it's something like GAIM used to be, or a YTTM, or libpurple, whatever. What was the thing that used libpurple?
Yeah, Pigeon.
Pidgin.
Yeah.
Pidgin. Yeah, exactly. Except it's HTML5 only. So it's
it's like they looked at that project that was already running binary native, and they're like, let's make it slower.
Yeah, let's make an HTML5 out of that. But I'll give them that it actually works with minimum setup. You'll literally just pull it, run it. It's working.
All right. Well, let's see. Yeah, meetfriends.com, friends.
It could help me using. Maybe it will get me using Slack, because it seems like everyone is using Slack these days, but I always forget to go on the channels. But maybe I just want to use RSC, but that's not what the cool kids use nowadays.
Well, in unrelated news, yes, they're actually going to call it the GTX 1080. And what is that? Yeah,
because that's not going to get confusing at any point.
No, yeah, we're definitely talking about the new Nvidia card. This is coming from WCC FTEC, the hardest website name to even get out of your mouth organ. But they say it's going to be hitting the shelves, launching on May 6th. Should be out by June, a little bit after that. Maybe you just want to say speculation on this, because I was digging around for a price, and they don't really have anything. They're like somewhere between $449 and the $549 mark. Pedro, do you want to make up some numbers too?
The GTX 980 Ti launched at $650, so they might release it at that.
Well, Matthew, I mean, I think Jordan has a very fair point. Will we finally have a card on PC that can support 1080?
Not if it's a Unity game.
Yeah, I mean, soon, as soon as it's released, all the people are at Linux Gamecast Weekly will have all deprecated last-gen GPUs. That will be fun.
I'm sorry, all I was hearing is 980s are going to get cheaper. Yeah.
Yep.
Not that cheaper, I guess.
Well, I mean, we can wait it out, because
at least
here's what I'm thinking. Because let's just be honest. I mean, if you're already rocking a 970 or a 980, where's there really to go? Am I sounding like the old man in the cloud, or what?
No, you're not, because judging by how CPU bound most games are nowadays, that's actually a very fair point to make. But this time around, and I guess Nvidia kind of learned their lesson over the whole 3.5 gigs 970 thing, because I still haven't forgotten Nvidia. Yeah, they're actually coming out with the stats and say the specs and saying that the 1080 as a GDDR5X memory, HBM2, all that, while the 1070 has a GDDR5, just the usual GDDR5. So it remains to be seen what kind of controversy this architecture will stir, because Nvidia is no stranger when it comes to controversies. Bumpgate.
And they do say reviews are expected to go live within a few weeks after that, so we're looking at about mid-May. So that's definitely going to be into what you said.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing real-time demos of what this GPU is capable of, especially if it's running Vulkan.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding towards when we've had that little taste with Talos showed us what Vulkan, like, from the crazy psychopaths at Crow Team, they just like slapped it together and like, yeah, all right, here's some really beta stuff. We love them, by the way. And it just flies. And you're like, whoa,
yeah,
that's going to be a thing. But
a little bit of neat to end up the show, and it's someone got Windows 95 running on an Apple Watch.
I just love it. It just makes me all the happies.
Someone actually made the Apple Watch something even, that I would be remotely interested in.
Hey, man.
It's amazing.
At least it has a chance of being useful with Windows.
Yeah, for once. But, since Apple is a company run by a bunch of stuck-up arsewipes, that little exploit is probably going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Pedro. Well, all right. Views are expressed by Pedro or Pedro's. But yeah, they did actually. There was a Kickstarter. There was a battery band for your Apple Watch that plugged in with the diagnostic port. The last update to the Apple Watch disabled the diagnostic port, so they couldn't use that band. And I was like, wow, guys, really?
And back in the day, someone got Windows 98 or 95, one of those.
Actually, I believe that was Lunduke. It was that Duke boy that did it.
Probably. But someone got some version of Windows running in DOSBox on an iPad. And the very next day, Apple is going, nope, we're noping DOSBox from the App Store. Gone. Not having it.
Well, we were talking before the show because then you're looking at it and it's like Windows 95 and you look at the specs, 520 megahertz processor, 512 megs of RAM and 8 gigs of internal storage. Then you go back and think about the PC that you were running Windows 95. Yeah?
Pentium 2.
Yeah. I wonder why would you want to put Windows 95 on an Apple Watch? I mean,
because you can, Frenchie.
Because you can.
It's a tinker toy.
You were talking about Linux users. We put Linux on dead badgers, and you think this is odd putting it on a watch.
But it's Windows on a 1-inch screen without a keyboard, without a mouse. I like the fact that he glued a little motor on the scroll wheel to keep it running, so it wouldn't suspend. That's neat. But it's still Windows 95, the Windows from 20 years ago that you can't barely use.
You are such a buzzkill, man.
Dude, it's neat. It's just the tinker toy factor. That's the only thing about it.
And
okay, I admit it's neat.
All right, see, I think that's really the best note for us to close out on. We got some feedback, but I didn't save it for the show. I just got back to it because that's the type of person I am. But if you do want to leave us some feedback, just put it in the YouTube comments. Hit that
Patreon comments.
Patreon.
Really anywhere.
Check this out. I'm totally going to do this. Press the thumbs up if you like the video. God, I can't be the shill. I'm been
That probably killed you a little bit on the inside. Just a bit.
Who are you?
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. This was Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. We'll be back next week.